You see this? This is a painting by Tsukioka Yoshitoshi, and it's called Farting at a Kappa at the Lumberyard in Fukagawa. Now, this is Franky. I believe this painting inspired a Franky fit and part of Franky's personality, because in Sabote Archipelago during the pre-time skip, Franky wears a purple shirt, very reminiscent to the figure in this painting. The figure that is farting, that is. On top of that, the figure in question has a light blue headscarf of some sort on their head, which is very reminiscent of Franky's hair. And to top it all off, this is happening at a lumberyard. Franky is a shipwright. He is a carpenter. Therefore, he has worked with wood many a times before. Therefore, I think this painting was an inspiration for Franky's character. On top of that, since Enies Lobby, moving forward, Franky has been the farting character in One Piece, thanks to a technique called coup de bout, which is both used for comedic purposes and for strategic purposes, because while inflating his rear, it's powerful enough to propel him forward and upward with a massive fart, as performed in the fight against Fukuro. This is the rear version of the attack known as coup de vent, performed with his forearms, or a singular forearm, in the post-time skip. And it was a bluff to make people believe that he was about to self-destruct. So in that way, Franky has always been the farting character, and this even continues into the post-time skip. So I was really shocked when I found this painting out, because actually I came across this a little while ago when I was doing my video on how I do think in the future there will be a Kappa fruit in One Piece, because we have so many Kappa themed characters in the franchise at large. So perhaps in the future, the Kappa character will fight Franky, and Franky will defeat the Kappa character with an upgraded version of coup de bout, possibly. Now, an interesting thing about Kappas is that in folklore, how you defeat them is through a test of skill. These acts of skill were a ploy in order for the Kappa to spill the water out of the dish on its head, weakening it. So, one test of skill that is mentioned is sumo wrestling, and this applies to both Franky and a character who calls himself a Kappa in Kawamatsu, because Kawamatsu is a sumo wrestler, a very proficient sumo wrestler. So I think that's why he was dubbed a sumo wrestler in Wano, but Franky himself does have wrestling moves as well. So when you start to combine these things together, it's likely that Franky could indeed fight a Kappa in the future. On top of that, Kappas have a weird aversion to iron. So it would be very interesting, seeing as how both Kawamatsu and Franky have a relationship with iron, Kawamatsu being a samurai carrying a steel sword, and Franky being a cyborg with steel parts within him. It would be interesting in the future if Franky were to fight a Kappa, and that Kappa doesn't want Franky to touch him because Franky has a steel body, or a body derived from iron. So lots of things on the table that could come forward in the future based on the folklore of the Kappa. Now, in that video in which I talk about there possibly being a mythical Kappa fruit, I had said that it would be interesting if the Kappa character was a reference to DJ Gappa. DJ Gappa is a sniper of the Red Arrows pirates that comes up in the 6th One Piece movie called Baron Omatsuri and the Secret Island. And in that movie, he could generate these weird plates on his head. And a Kappa is known for having a water dish on its head. And the whole point in defeating a Kappa in a test of skill is to make it spill the water out of that dish. So I could see DJ Gappa being referenced by this mythical Kappa fruit character, and I do think based on Kappas having an aversion to iron, and seeing as how the figure in the painting is very much like Franky, that Franky could be fighting this Kappa character in the future. However, with that being said, if you're enjoying the video so far, give me a like. And if you want to see more from me, hit the subscribe button followed by that bell so you never miss a video. In addition to, if you could, hit the hype button because it really does help. And with that being said, give me your thoughts and tell your friends about Polypede Works.